Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey there, Betsy.
How are you guys?
Ricky.
Good.
It seems like
Hi,
forever since I've seen you, but
I missed you.
It
has it
does.
only been 2 weeks or has it been longer?
It's been 2 weeks. Yeah.
Felt like 2 months.
It seems like 2 months, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Been a busy time.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for holding down the fort, and thanks to Sandy, who did a great job on all the profiles and whatnot. And you're able to stretch it to 90 minutes even without me here. So, so that means it's not always my fault when it goes so long.
There's your proof.
There we
Yes.
go.
Mhm.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So great to see you all. And you had a good 2 weeks, I hope.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very good. It's really cold here. Chilly in Chile.
It's chilly in Chile. Oh, that's great. Well, it's finally starting to warm up here in my little part of Ontario, though it's been cool in the evenings and this morning, but it's been warming up a little bit, so it's comfortable. It's just the right temperature. Unfortunately, it's also the right temperature for mosquitoes. So,
Oh.
yeah, those are no fun.
The not so fun part of summer.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So we've had some people joining us already in the chat. Rick Keeland from Southern Ontario was the first one to get in. I love how he says, not being very tall, I had to get in early for a front row seat. That's great. I love that. And of course, now Victor tried to give his regular greeting, good time zone, but instead he did a typo with tome zone. But then I like later on he refers to that. Well, maybe that was a good reference for genealogists because they go to the library. So
right. Look at the tomes.
Nice. Hello there, Dee from Augusta, Georgia. Thunderstorms expected, and Fiordalisi, and she always says hi to Finnegan, so that's nice. Finnegan is just lazily sleeping away down there.
What a life.
The Fin Cam would be very boring this morning. So Murray is here from Collingwood, Ontario. Hey there, Murray. Ozzy is here from down under. How you doing?
Hey.
And let's see, Chris Ferriolo. Hello, Chris.
Hi.
Judy Bramlage. How you doing from Salt Lake City? It was so great to meet Judy in person, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's a treat.
That was wonderful. Yeah. Amanda, also from down under there. Denise, how you doing? Patricia Jackson. Who else do we have? John Tyner from Ireland. Susie Carter, how you doing? Hillary from Wales. Greg in all caps.
You were missed.
Oh, that's very kind of you. But I had fun with my math people. So it was a mathy morning, and then a wedding. I had to play for a wedding in the afternoon, which was very nice. And yeah, so it was good. Fibonacci.
Yeah, I know. I was going to point that out to you.
Oh, that's great. Yes. And who else? Tamara is here. Robert Cowan from Dorset. And I think that's everyone. Have I missed anyone? Don't think so. Okay. Well, anyways, so we've got lots of things to talk about today. And Betsy, you've got a concert coming up. That's exciting.
I have a concert this afternoon with a pre-concert warm-up. So I have to go to the front of the line.
Okay, that's right. You joined Rick there in the front row.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Here, let me share my screen and
Betsy, is it a concert of your children, the one you teach?
No, actually,
are you playing?
It's me.
Oh,
you yourself?
Yes, me myself. I do
Yes.
perform myself. I'm in a group. This is our 69th season. It's called the North Shore Concert Band. And we're doing a really terrific program this afternoon. Or Holst Suite, which is suite number 1, a classic for the wind band. And we're doing E.T. by John Williams. And a Latin one by Marquez called Danza. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about the music that's happening.
So any WikiTreeers in the Chicago area should check that out.
Yes, come on up to our venue at Loyola Academy. So
Wow.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
And can you share something with us? Some video or photo for next week?
I will. Yes. You know what? That ties in perfectly. Yes, with the photo of the month is music. Yes, Vicki, I will.
Oh, it's like we have
It's like we planned
prepared.
Right.
No, we didn't. Yeah.
Yes, and we do have some music photos to look at. But first, do you have Swedish roots?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. What about you, Greg?
Not that I've found. Now there's some there's some Slavic or not Slavic, Scandinavian. There's some trace amounts in my Ancestry DNA profile, but I don't know. We haven't gone far enough back. I think it's way far back. So I don't have Swedish roots. Though I do. My wife and I have been enjoying some good Swedish TV, like Wallander, that series. So I'd like to have some Swedish roots or be able to understand the language better.
Yeah. I know it's always interesting when you particularly enjoy a culture and feel affinity for their arts or some aspect of it, and you just wish you could have the actual birthright connection. So, well, we got to keep looking. Yeah, I thought it was interesting as a theme, and I always look for themes in the answers. People were really bouncing back and forth between the paper trail and the DNA trail, and sometimes they aligned, and other times they did not. And actually, our first answer from our Julie Ricketts is that it doesn't get much more Swedish than Olsen. That's the surname for her maternal grandparents who came to the U.S. in 1923. And it's her grandparents, but her DNA doesn't reflect it. I thought that was so interesting. Yeah. I don't know where she tested. And of course, where you test plays into your ethnicity estimates. And she adds, my undying gratitude goes to the Swedish project members who helped advance the branches of my Swedish lines. So
sometimes DNA says Scandinavian instead of the country, maybe.
Yep.
Maybe that's happening.
And Melanie Paul added in that she also has undying gratitude for members of the Sweden Project who her situation was that her great-grandparent with the name Waldmarson led so many family members on a wild goose chase when he declared on Australian documents that he was born in Liverpool, England, when he was actually born in Kristianstad, Sverige. And he misnamed his parents as well. So tracking him down was not easy. Wow. That's when you you really want to, wish you could have a face-to-face with your ancestor and say, what were you doing? Am I talking to myself? Oh.
No, I just had I muted my mouth. Okay. Because I was typing something and I didn't want to.
Got it. No, it's okay. Because
sorry. I was muted too because I was going to sneeze. And I started, sorry.
I just check because it's happened before. I remember a couple of months ago sitting in my car and talking to myself for a good 5 minutes.
Oh, no. We hear you. We're here.
Okay, good. Let's see. Jeffrey Wall. Where is Jeffrey's answer? Now I've lost myself.
Oh, sorry.
There's Melanie. Oh, there it is. So Jeffrey Wall's second great-grandfather came from Sweden to Wisconsin. And then he ended up serving in the U.S. Civil War. And having this particular question of the week prompted Jeffrey to revisit his profile and notice that he didn't have anything regarding his Civil War service. So he's doing some profile sprucing this week for his Swedish ancestor. Corey Newton, her great grandmother came to the U.S. In 1887, and her birth name was Siri Elvira Bengtsson. Bengtsson. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. She changed her name to Agnes Elizabeth Benson and married a Fitzpatrick. So I just thought that was so interesting. You know, when people do decide to pick an Americanized or Westernized name, as many of my family did, it's interesting to see how they go with that.
Yes.
And when I first did my DNA, I matched with a cousin still in Sweden, and he sent me a lot of great information on the Benson family. So that's wonderful to have that connection across the pond. Gatlin said that his has many Swedish ancestors and still owns a chair made by one of those ancestors for his son.
Wow.
I went to E's profile, found the name, and I thought, please, I hope you put a picture of the chair.
Yes.
Yes, let's see the chair. And
is it here?
There it is.
Oh,
no way.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Wow.
Yeah, made by Andrew Anderson for his son Edward.
Oh.
What that's a precious heirloom. So he must, what skill. I mean,
yeah, look at that intricate woodworking.
Yes.
I know. And I'm looking, excuse me, I'm looking at this detail up here at the upper corners. I mean, that's not easy.
No.
That's like a throne.
Yes.
More than a chair.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful work.
So thank you, E.
Hopefully it wasn't just a timeout chair.
I hope not. Bob Fittfelt says, oh boy, do I. My father's side was all Swedes back to 1600s with relatives in Norway and Denmark before that. Hvitfeldt Street, Hvitfeldt Square, Hvitfeldt School, all in Gothenburg. So that's pretty cool when you see your surname being used to represent things. And Lynn Young. Lynn, where's Lynn's? Well, I thought, where? Oh, goodness. Well, basically what Lynn said was she does have Swedish ancestors, but she didn't know it for a very long time. Can I do Control F?
You should be able to. Yeah.
Let's try that. There she is.
There he is.
I have a set of second great grandparents who are from Jönköping and Kalmar, Sweden. Growing up in Minnesota with brown hair and green eyes, I figured I wasn't like most of the people around here with their very Nordic looks. But when I got into genealogy, I discovered I've been Swedish all along. That's cool. Now going to second page. Cynthia.
There's Cynthia.
Yeah. Yes. You saw Cynthia. Yes.
Cynthia Nelson.
Yes. Her grandparents were Swedish, and so they emigrated. Her grandfather emigrated from Sweden in 1896. He married her grandmother, who in Boston, and she had emigrated 10 years earlier than he had. And what I thought was nice is she writes that she has fond memories of visiting them in Massachusetts and having a smorgasbord at Christmas time. Yeah. The Scandinavians really do know how to put on an amazing smorgasbord.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Kidd said that he did Y DNA testing, and he had this done by Britain's DNA. showed up as Viking. And that's
Wow.
confirmed by Ancestry and 23andMe, but most importantly by Family Tree DNA, where my Y haplogroup is IM253, known as Swedish Viking.
Swedish Viking.
Yes.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, to just proclaim yourself a Viking is so.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And he's also determined that his paternal line is Polish. And he notes that from 1587 to 1668, the Swedish Vasa family ruled the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. So there must be a strong probability that his paternal ancestor traveled from Sweden to Poland. And yeah, there was some
Neat.
Swedish Polish coupling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Douglas Nelson says that his father, born in Sweden, was ranked Sweden's #1 rugby player in 1946.
Very cool.
Nice
Very
fame,
cool.
claim to fame.
Neat.
And
a trophy or something like that she could put on the profile.
Exactly. So Catherine, we won't read the whole post, but Catherine Astrom was made the note that yes, she has Swedish ancestors, and they are from northern Sweden. And she said that made her research so much easier because the area is not densely populated. So when she would be scrolling through documents, records at the Swedish National Archives, it wasn't a lot to scroll through, which is really
smaller documents, right?
Yes, yeah. She found a Facebook group for Swedish American genealogy, and she connected with a local historian from, I guess, her ancestral village, who was delighted to connect with her because, people are usually not looking for information from his area. They swapped email addresses, and he sent her articles from the local newspaper about her great-grandfather and his father, who was a ferry boat captain, and scanned pages from local history books, drove to Godvik and took pictures of the family home. I mean, just wow.
That's amazing.
Yes, yeah.
That's above and beyond. That's great.
Exactly. Yeah, but when you're like in a small village and you see on Facebook someone's interested in the village,
Yeah,
exactly.
I would perk up too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then let's see, we have Lee Taylor. Yep. Says my mtDNA roots go straight to Venjan, Sweden, which has been inhabited by her ancestors for over 400 years. And I thought this was what she did was she described the journey in 1869. So her great grandmother came over. She was 8. And she was accompanied by her pregnant mother, who had the same name. There were 65 villagers who left together because there was a terrible famine. They walked to Oslo with their possessions. There they sold the wagons and animals in Arvika to purchase their passage. Then a train ride to Oslo, boat ride to Leith, Scotland, another train ride to Glasgow, followed by crossing the Atlantic to Ellis Island on the SS Europa. At Ellis Island, their mattresses were confiscated and burned to prevent disease. They had to pass an inspection, and then it's not over yet. They took a ferry to Castle Garden, took a train to Cleveland, transferred to Chicago, almost there, another train to La Crosse, Wisconsin, where they loaded their baggage onto a freighter, which took them up the Mississippi River to St. Paul, Minnesota, then just 60 more miles to Carver County, where they arrived on June 24th, which was the day they celebrated Midsummer Day back home in Sweden. So, I mean, I'm just imagining that journey as an 8-year-old.
Wow.
And everything you saw and
that's amazing.
The thoughts that it prompted, the questions it prompted.
Wow. What day did they leave?
Adventure.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Did it say what day they left?
Well, May. It doesn't give a specific date.
Oh.
May 1869 was then when they left, and they arrived June 24th.
So, a month and a half maybe.
Yeah.
Travel. I would have thought that whole adventure would like 5-6 months long.
I know.
Right.
And just having traveled myself in foreign countries, I know how it is when you get to an unfamiliar train station and
It's
you
stressful.
need to make a connection, and just the disorientation. I mean, and her mother was pregnant, and
Yes.
thank goodness that they were traveling with a group of fellow
Right.
soldiers.
Mhm.
Wow.
Thank you, Lee, for sharing that. And then our last one is from Trish Ivar, who wrote that her great-grandmother Lotta Annersdotter was one of 8 children born in Kristianstad. And as a child, her parents had to relocate their family into a local poorhouse and never left. Her great-grandfather came from a slightly better-off rural family, and they were carpenters. Once they married, they emigrated to New Zealand, which was one of several countries offering financial incentives to European immigrants in the 19th century. So they found each other on the journey and married soon after landing in Napier. And Amanda can correct me if I'm saying that wrong. Lotta and Anders settled in Wellington, where they brought up a large family. So a happy ending to their story.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's see. So as mentioned, as promised, photos in June are dedicated to the theme of music, and we do have a couple to look at. So
let's see.
So who is this? This is from M. Ross, and we're looking at Wanda Georgina Burns. And is it big enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I make it a little bigger?
Sure.
Okay. There we go. So you can't hear the music, but she can. Her dad was playing the music on a harmonica. And so this is M's mother-in-law, about age 10, in the late 1930s, practicing her Scottish dancing in the backyard of the family home in Mimico.
Yeah, Mimico.
Mimico in Ontario, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And she
great.
looks very spirited. That's wow. Talk about an authentic looking outfit.
Uh-huh.
I wonder what clan. And maybe you could tell us what clan the tartan is from.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
And I can hear the music.
Yeah. And I wonder if is that a sporran?
It looks like, the thing on the front. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And then let's see. This one, well, this fits beautifully.
Wow. Yes.
The senior play. And this is from Alexis. And Alexis says, this is a 1935 Muskogee, Oklahoma high school yearbook photo that includes her father, Claire Alexander Lovelace. Third from the right in the front. This is the cast for their senior play, The Chimes of Normandy, or Les Cloches de Corneville, an opera comique in 3 acts. Alexis says she's never seen the production. However, her grandmother often told her what a wonderful production it was. Her father had a good singing voice and was also part of the Glee Club. So third, this must be Alexis's grandfather. Isn't that amazing? I mean, these are high school students. And to me, they look like 30-year-olds.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Can you zoom in?
Sure.
Or like if you can zoom.
How's that?
There we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, just like
Even
the
still, yeah.
ties and yeah.
Like, I mean, some of them have basic. Well, I can see grade 12
Grade
students,
12, maybe.
but even still, they look more mature than that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, yeah.
They do look
Well,
older than, yeah.
they were ready to get married.
Yeah.
Well, this
They
was,
were
yeah.
they had
Embark
shorter
upon life.
lives.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, well, very cool. Thank you, Alexis.
Mhm.
And D is in the chat. Yes, I waved to D. This is D's violin.
Oh,
Received in 1965.
Wow.
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So she plays the violin, D,
well, D
or
too.
it's just a. Was it just a
That was
gift?
35, 60 years ago. So do you still have it? Do you still play?
Yeah.
Curious minds want to know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Great. Well, keep those coming.
Yeah. Do you want to refresh the page? Because John Tyner said something about adding a photo just an hour ago.
On the
I'm not sure where he added or where he answered something. Maybe it was the question of the week he answered. I don't know.
Okay. John, could you? I tell you what.
Yeah,
I'm going to create an ancestor, and then John, tell us in the chat where we need to go.
Mhm.
This is Cordelia McIntosh Long, who is Alexis's second great grandmother, who was born in Kentucky on June 28th, 1840. So happy birthday to Cordelia. Yeah, she married Edward Macaulay Long, and they had 3 children. Edward was a Union Army Civil War veteran, and he was in the lumber business. Tragically, Edward was shot in the back one evening when he was coming home from work. Oh, dear. Cordelia experienced a great loss with her husband's murder and trying to raise 3 children. She went to live with her parents in 1879, and an 1890 general affidavit shows that she had no income and she was dependent on her father for support. She was eventually able to obtain a widow's pension due to her husband's Civil War service. That was 11 years later and $12 a month.
Wow.
After her parents' death, she went to Portland, Oregon to live with her daughter, and that is where she passed away in 1917 at the age of 77. Oh, that's a hard life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna let's look at what photos we have. There's the photos. So there's a lovely photo. Yeah. I wonder if 1890 was the date on that photo. And if I go back, let's see. What was that?
She was with her parents at that point, I think.
Yes, 1890. That was when there was a general affidavit. Yeah, and she depended on her father for support. Let's see what are the goodies. I see there's a obituary with a photo, another photo. That photo. The death certificate. And there's the widow's pension. Yeah. And the affidavit. Yeah, it's really wonderful when you come up. I actually did a deep dive into one of my ancestors' pension files from the Revolutionary War. Actually, it was his widow. And this was a treasure trove. And so, it's nice to, you don't want to infringe on copyright, of course, but if you can share some little tidbits, that could make another cousin very, very happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexis. So, do we know where's John's
He said it was the question of the week. He answered. So
question of the week? Okay, so he
Yeah.
would be on page 3.
the
Yes.
Swedish fruits. Yeah.
It has to be the last one because he
I
says
know,
it
I
was an
know.
hour ago.
Okay, there. No,
No, you're on
John
page 2.
He's no, there
Yeah.
it is. He was the second last
Oh,
one.
yeah.
M. Cole also answered.
Yes, yes, I do have Swedish roots. My third great grandfather, Morris Sigismund Meyer, was born in Marstrand, Sweden in 1787 and died in Cheetham Hill, Manchester, England in 1859. He was a merchant. Very cool, John.
Mm.
And let's see, our M. Cole, our most recent respondent, had a great great grandmother, Maria, from Bråten, Varmland, Sweden. She ran away with the Norwegian farmhand. Oh dear. And eventually they went to America for a fresh start. As they arrived and he saw Quebec City, he had had a drinking problem. He swore off alcohol and never drank again. So it was their daughter Marta, who was her great grandmother. So let's see, I'm confused. Her daughter Marta, my great grandmother, died when my grandmother was very young. So her grandmother was greatly influenced by her Swedish grandmother. Yeah.
Mm.
And she remembers Swedish pancakes.
Mm.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. There's still time. If you have roots, let us know. And everybody else, I did read them all. It's usually impossible to share every answer, but it made for really fun reading this morning. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Great.
Great.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned Greg. You mentioned a Swedish TV show.
Yes.
I don't remember the name. Maybe someone in the chat has seen that, but there's a show about a real life story in Sweden where an assassination. Someone was killed. Yeah, and it was a mystery for like 30 years. And these guys solved it because they had DNA. But by the time that it happened, you couldn't do anything with DNA. And the case was solved by a genealogist because the police had the support of this genealogist who had the whole trees, the whole possibilities developed, and he was working like day and night and until he got to a certain family, and he said, well, it's this person or that one, and that was all. It's really fun to watch for us because you could relate to a lot of what goes on there. I'll try to remember the name. I'll put it in the chat so you can watch
it. Sounds neat.
Yeah, it's really cool. So should I go on?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Our member of the week couldn't make it today. She had plans, but I'll share the interview.
Okay.
And our member of the week is Anastasia Beckwith. And she's in WikiTree from 2018. And she enjoys working on German, Swedish, and Czech profiles. She's a member of the Discord Detectives, this team. She was one of the creators of the is very active in that genealogy Discord that we've been mentioning for the last weeks. And she's been doing genealogy for 20 years now. She's very young, but she already has 20 years because her grandma would talk about stories of the family and showed pictures. So she was introduced to Ancestry, and from there she started her research. And it's very interesting what she does. Well, she's a nurse by night, and she's focused on one place study that she is really passionate about. She's trying to do the one place study about Bohemia, and that's in central Bohemia and Pilsen region in the Czech Republic. She wants to have the one giant tree. So if you want to help up in her project, please contact her. She really needs help with that. And well, she tells about her favorite ancestor, who has an interesting story here. I read that. Well, she migrated from Sweden. That's why probably she's the member of the week.
Right.
And well, I lost the story. There was a nice story to tell you about. Well, she okay. She needs help with. She has blank templates for indexing and family grouping for her project for the one place study. So you can check this out and see if you're interested in helping. And she has a lovely phrase here. Well, what inspires her to contribute? As most of us, she thinks of WikiTree as a part of her legacy. And she says, I use it, WikiTree, to host all of the work that is meaningful to me, that I hope others one day find useful to them as well. And she had this cousin that cooked this cousin bait that we put, and she contacted with someone from the same town where her ancestors were from. So that's like a dream for all of us. Imagine if we had that connection with that little town where you don't know how to research those files, you don't know how to get them. So that's like a dream come true. And she says about this space that she found on WikiTree, she says, we're all doing what we love. So I love sharing the pieces that bring the most joy to me in the genealogy space. That's where we are all sharing. And she loves, and this is like a tip of the week, maybe sometimes, WikiTree has so many features and functions that sometimes we forget. And Anastasia loves the random profile button. We know.
Yeah.
Nice.
Profile.
Yes, I always mention that, for instance, Melissa always does these profile makeovers using a random button. Sometimes Lisa does it too. So she says, it always takes me to a random profile completely unconnected to me, and the exploration of the tree or researching to add onto the profile is her favorite. She always learns something new and loves to come across profiles that are completely out of my research comfort zone, she says, giving a nice challenge to work on. Yes, it's nice to do something different and learn.
Well, yeah.
So, well, and here's the story about this cousin taking the cousin bait. So that's our goal, to find our cousins, right?
Yeah.
And then to have something that connects us. That's really a treasure. And about the profile makeover, well, I'm going to show you. Remember, I told you about June, and the theme is June.
The theme is June.
June. Why? Oh, great! You were not with us last week, so I'll tell you. June. The word June comes from the goddess, the Roman goddess Juno.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Juno is the goddess of birth, childbirth, family, and marriage. And her name, Juno, comes from the Latin word Juno, which means youth. And youth in relation to fertility. That's why she's the goddess of birth, marriage, and family.
Mhm.
So what better example for this than these two profiles of a marriage? They're married. William King Young. We're talking about youth, right?
Young.
Margaret Frances and William King Young. They are the great grandparents of our Lynn Young. She says she likes how I pronounce her name because it sounds like so. I don't think. How did she say? Well, exotic.
Exotic.
That's the
Yeah.
word she used. Yeah.
You have a beautiful lilt to your voice.
Well, these are her great grandparents. They married when they were 23 and 26. And they were from Illinois. They had 8 children. So, talking about childbirth, they have the name Young. They are married. So, they're the perfect example for this week's makeover. Unfortunately, we don't have the before pictures, but we have 2 amazing profiles.
Yeah.
Look at this, 20 photos.
Wow.
There's so much work on these profiles. Really, Lynn does it all. And William King Young has Appalachian roots. So biscuits. He's an
Yes, biscuits.
Yes,
Nice.
biscuits. And he's a descendant of Palatine migrants. He was involved in the westward expansion of the USA. And his grandfather was John W. Hoback, son of mountain man trapper John Hoback. If somebody here is around Wyoming, maybe you heard that name because there are so many things in Wyoming named after him. Maybe you could tell us. So we're used to this kind of profiles now. Lynn always gives us this contextual research.
Right.
And she gives us the whole story of the person and what was happening in the country around them, in the world even.
Look at that.
Yes, it's an amazing long profile.
Yes.
And I really like what she added at the end. Is everything is amazing. I'm not going to read it to you, but she finishes this profile with this phrase. He's buried, William, without Margaret, in the Minneopa Cemetery in South Bend Township in Minnesota. He'd married once, lost his mother, stepmother, and 3 siblings, buried 2 of his own children, and lived under 20 U.S. presidents in the course of his lifetime.
Wow.
It's a nice summary of
It's perspective. Yeah, it's sort of
Yeah.
of a life of all the accomplished too. How
Wow.
many children? 8 children. And well, we have these nice sources. I'm going now we're watching Margaret Frances, the great grandmother, and also has a contextual research. But I really wanted to point out this sticker that Lynn used. Margaret was a wife, and do you see it?
Yeah.
Margaret was a wife and mother who managed her home and cared for her family.
Oh,
it's the
that's
first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
That is
It's
nice.
beautiful. Super
Yeah.
nice. Super nice. And she also has Appalachian roots.
Biscuits.
Yep, biscuits. And a lot of sources, of course, too. So thank you, Lynn, for inspiring. She inspired this month. Yeah. She told me about these makeovers of her grandparents. And I connected the dots. I said, June, Young.
Yes.
There's something was ringing in my head. And I did a Google research.
Yeah.
Yes. June is the right word. So
Nice.
these were the profile makeovers.
Great.
A lot of work. It's amazing.
A lot of work. Yeah.
I'm going to have to drop off now.
Okay, then.
I will
Wow.
eagerly await watching the rest of the video. And thank you for the good wishes from everybody in the chat for my
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please record and take photos.
Yes, I'll see what
Yes.
I can do. I should be able to come up with something.
Oh,
Excellent.
yeah.
Have a great
All right.
concert.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck.
See
Bye.
ya.
Enjoy.
Bye. Oh, that's great.
Wow.
Okay, so let's move on to then the connection checkers for this week.
Yes.
And not surprisingly, the connection checkers for this week is all about Swedish connection checkers. So I did not play connection checkers this week. Did you play?
I was playing until yesterday, but from
Okay.
the profiles of last week, I got
from last
really
week.
yes, because it was like I got a lot of different kind of connections. I usually connect through the same two people,
Right.
but now I really wanted to dig in
Nice.
a lot of them. So I still haven't seen the Swedish profiles. Let's see.
Okay. Okay. I'm wondering if anyone else has connected or done the connection checkers this week in our chat. If you have, type a message and let us know. But we have lots of Swedish profiles to look at. So we'll start off with Gustav Adolf Vasa, who's apparently a distant cousin of mine. And
that's my closest.
That's your closest, eh?
Yeah, at 19, just as Anne Fiordalici.
Oh, okay. And Vasa came up in one of the question of the week answers. There was someone, and I should have paid attention to who it was, but in one of the answers to the questions of the week that Betsy was reading about, someone had a connection to Vasa, to the Vasa line in Sweden. So that's I'm sure they were closely connected to Gustav then. Yeah. So he was the king of Sweden for 21 years. King of Sweden from 1611 to 1632. Also credited as being the founder of Sweden as a great power. He led them into military supremacy during the 30 Years' War, helped to determine the political as well as the religious balance. What I didn't know at that time was at that point in time, Sweden actually controlled much of Germany. Because I kind of always, in my mind, I always think of Sweden, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, like all of those Scandinavian countries, staying, in their section, above the rest of Europe there. It never occurred to me that, oh, yeah, they might have just crossed the pond, a different pond, into the mainland and control some of that.
Yes, you're right.
So that was news to me. So that was kind of interesting. He was born at Stockholm Castle, seventh child of Karl IX Vasa. So that's interesting as well, because you don't often see someone who's that low in the birth order, seventh child, ascending to becoming the leader.
Exactly.
Right? But he was a duke 3 times around: Duke of Estonia, Grand Duke of Finland, and then Duke of Västmanland. And then there's some other things here about his love, mistress, death and burial. Anyway, 1611, he became the king of Sweden. So there we have the king of Sweden. Next, we have Ernst Ingmar Bergman. Ingmar Bergman is a famous director and writer, director, producer, worked in film and television, theater, and radio. And you know what? It wasn't, I don't know if I knew this before, but for some reason, I always thought that Ingmar Bergman, the director, I thought he was the father of Ingrid Bergman, the actress, but they're not. Not her father. Now I'm not sure.
Isn't not her wife either?
He has a wife, Ingrid Bergman, but I'm pretty sure that's not the actress.
Oh.
No, that's not the actress, Ingrid Bergman. Yeah. So I learned there that though they are different families, they may be related. I should have done a how are they related to each other.
I'll research some of that.
You're going to search that up. Okay.
Yeah.
Though I suspect Bergman is a relatively common last name, so maybe they're not related at all. or they're distantly related, or
Probably.
Anyways, Swedish director, born in Uppsala in 1918, right at the end of the First World War. His family lived at Forsbacka in the Valbo parish, and then moved to Stockholm when he was only a month old, or less than a month old. Grew up in Stockholm. He married multiple times. Look at the list of marriages here, and those are documented in the profile, so I won't go through all of his love life and whatnot. He did have children from those marriages. He had 9 children, but none of them are listed in his profile here. So I'm wondering if that's because some of them are still alive, but one would expect that some might have passed away. Oh, I'm not sure. Though he himself only died in 2007, so maybe they're all still living. That's a question I have for the Swedish project. Sweden project. So Ingrid, no, that's next we have Lars Magnus Eriksson. And as you might guess from the profile banner there, he had something to do with electronics and whatnot. So let's see. He's managed by the Sweden project. Born in 1846 in Sverige, in Vergebal, and passed away at the age of 80 in 1926. Son of Erik Ersson in Vergebal and his wife Maria Johnsdotter. He was only 12 years old when his father died. He described his early years. In his 15th year, he was allowed to follow a mining engineer and his team to Norway. They were prospecting and found a newly found ore deposit, and so that was part of his job and his apprenticeship. He became a railway worker. He went all over the place. He went to he got an apprenticeship with a smith in Arvika, and then he traveled. According to some sources, he created a telephone by himself at age of 17. He created that because he read about the invention by a German, Johann Philipp Reis. So by reading about that invention, he wanted to create one himself, and his version used a pig's bladder as a membrane for transmitting sounds. So obviously very creative and a brilliant engineer, even at that young. Worked in a mechanical shop. He traveled abroad, and he basically like that he just stayed in one place long enough to learn something new, and then he moved on to somewhere else to learn more and more. So after many experiments with telephony, he constructed telephones and switches. Anyways, eventually he founded a company which became famous for telephones, Ericsson, which is a name that you might be familiar with. There used to be a whole brand. I don't know. I haven't seen many phones called Ericsson, but in mobile phones.
I had one.
You had one?
Yeah.
So you're familiar
my first cell phone was an Ericsson.
Oh, it was an Ericsson. Yeah, they used to be common all over the place. Now it seems there's the number of companies that produce phones is much smaller set, but Ericsson. I don't know if they still make them, but yeah, he was the original starting that up. And there's another picture. I went to his Wikipedia page to find out a bit more about him. There's a neat bust of him there. And then we have Agnetha Falskog.
Yay! My father loves her.
Oh, really?
Always in love with her. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, I mean, I love her music.
Yeah, me too.
If you don't recognize the name, and I did not recognize the name because I only recognize her initial, because she's one of the A's in ABBA. So yeah, there's a picture. She was born in the 50s. She's notable. She's a Swedish singer, songwriter, member of the pop group ABBA. She's one of the A's in the popular Swedish singing group. So what's the other name? The other A, the name of the other.
There's other B. B-B-N-A.
So there's Bjorn
I
is
think
one of them. There's is it Anna? Is the other A an Anna?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, this is bad.
I always remember Agneta because of my father.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
he had a preference of which member of the group he liked.
Yeah, the blonde one.
Oh, Annie, it's Annie Fried. Thank you. Yeah.
Annie Fried, right.
Okay.
The other ones are Bjorn and Benny.
Bjorn and Benny. Yes. Okay. Benny. Yeah. Dancing Queen, Waterloo. So many great songs.
Yeah.
Thank you, Agneta.
What was the song the song that sounded in your head? Did you have any? I had Super Trooper. Came to me right away.
Super Trooper. Interesting. Yeah. I like Dancing Queen and Waterloo, and there was one. It was really funny. I don't know if now I'm trying to think of what it was, but there was one Saturday night I was playing. I was playing at a mass at our local church, not the big church in town, but the local one. It's called St. Columkills, and there was something. I think they just put in a new sound system, and I don't know why or how, but it's somehow in the middle of mass it got picked. It picked up some trucker going by, his CB or whatever, and he was playing an ABBA tune on his radio or on a CB, and it connected to our sound system. So for like 20 seconds, we heard in the middle of mass, all of a sudden this ABBA tune was blasting.
Wow. That was a sign.
It was a
sign from God.
I think it was Dancing Queen, but I'm not sure. But it was hilarious because, like, how did this happen? I mean,
wow, that's funny.
So that was really wild, and I don't even know the physics of how that even happened.
They're all naming. Let's see. Anne Fiordalice says Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
Waterloo says Mel.
Waterloo. Yeah. Well, having gone to the University of Waterloo, that's obviously a favorite too. Yeah.
Dancing Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And June says foot tapping music every time ABBA songs come on. Yeah.
You're so right there, June. Yeah. Next, we have Assar Thorfold Nathaniel Gabrielson. He was the co-founder of the Volvo company and CEO of the company from its founding in 1927 up to 1956. He was born in 1891 to Gabriel Nathaniel Gabrielson and his wife, Anna Helmina Larson. They moved to Kirkfalla, where they lived at the dairy. So he grew up on a farm. 1901, they moved to Stockholm, and they ran a wholesale company importing eggs. So still has some farming roots, in that regard. Then they moved to Gothenburg, and he started working as a sales manager of ball bearings. Of course, those were very important in the manufacture of cars. And this is interesting. The important part of car. Several reasons why it would be advantageous to start a company for manufacturing cars in Sweden. And I hadn't thought of this before, like why the company was so important. So Swedish roads at the time were very bad. And knowing that, the geography of Sweden and being a northern country and difficult winters like we have in Canada, I can understand the roads being very bad. Because, it freezes, there's the thaw, and the road it just becomes undrivable sometimes, or it could become. So they needed a market for a sturdy car that could navigate these nasty roads in those conditions. And so a car factory would boost the industry and be good for the economy as well. So he had support from some friends and colleagues, and then eventually helped with co-founding the Volvo company. After a bumpy first few years, the Volvo company was finally on the road.
Literally bumpy.
Literally. That's right. Great. I love that. Nice way to end that.
Yeah.
There's a nice picture of him here. So very cool. Let's see. We have 3 pictures. There he is. One of the cars, so neat. Then we have Margrethe Hartvigsdottir Huitfeldt. Now, we saw this name before also in one of the answers to the question of the week, Huitfeldt. I think there was a J in front of it, or it was spelled slightly different, but we definitely saw this last name during the answers to the questions of the week. Margrethe Huitfeldt was a Norwegian Swedish noble, estate owner, and donor. So she had an interesting life. She was the only child of one particular Danish noble, Hartvig Andersen Huitfeldt, and lived in Norway. And she married to another Danish noble court official, Thomas Iversen Dyer of Fitzgerald. Had 3 children, but all her children died very young. So because she became one of the greatest landowners in all of Scandinavia, because she inherited from her parents and she inherited from her spouse, but she didn't have any children to pass it on to. So all of this land was in her name. And so at one point it belonged to Norway and then Denmark, or thereby Denmark, and then became Swedish in 1658. So she was a local power holder. She had good influential connections. She wanted better conditions for peasants. And so she, in the end, she donated all of her land to charity. And she established schooling for 30 students a year in Gothenburg with scholarships to support science. And her will and donation put all of that under the protection of the crown. So that's very cool.
Wow.
Felix Schellberg. And that's not how I would have pronounced his name, but I had done a search on how to pronounce Swedish. And it apparently, yes, the KJ makes a sh. Where is it here? What was the KJ?
Well played. Well played.
Sure, it makes an SH sound. Yes. So,
SH.
Yeah, Felix Schellberg. And do you know who Felix Schellberg is?
I have no idea.
You know, and neither did I. And that's kind of embarrassing because he's very famous. He's a YouTuber known as PewDiePie, one of the most famous YouTubers apparently around, but not to me. I actually had to watch one of his videos just to see what the deal was. He was kind of funny.
I usually watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah.
For instance, I follow an Australian one.
Oh, neat.
Since we have our Aussie friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no Swedish YouTuber.
No Swedish YouTuber. Yeah. So he does comedy videos. So the one I was watching watched a little bit of it. He was installing Linux for the first time on his computer. He was tired of Windows, the Windows operating system, so he wanted to install a different one. He obviously didn't have a Mac, but so that was interesting. But apparently he's been a YouTuber for a long time and was very famous. The first YouTuber ever to reach 100 million subscribers. So 100 million other people besides the two of us know who he is.
Well, Christopher Ayolo knows who he is. He's not a fan.
He's not a fan.
He says he's wicked annoying.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. So how many of those 100 million subscribers are WikiTreeers? Not the two of us. Obviously not Christopher Ayolo.
Yeah.
Anyways, question. But anyways, that's his claim to fame, and he's from Sweden.
You know what? I don't want to interrupt, but we should have a listening party after the livecast because they kept mentioning ABBA songs.
Or ABBA songs.
Yeah. Like Waterloo, Gimme, Gimme, Gimme.
Oh, yes.
John Tyner likes SOS.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah.
Now I have them all in my head.
Okay. Well, we should switch over to Discord and start a listening party there.
Right.
And then we have Karen Bergu Larson. managed by the Sweden Project. She's an artist. Was born on the 3rd of October in 1859 in Örebro, Nikolai, in Sweden, and christened at the end of the month, October 30th. Daughter of a successful businessman, confirmed in Stockholm. So we have her confirmation record. That's neat. Lived with her parents, began to study, at the Arts and Crafts School in Stockholm, and then went to this Royal Swedish Art Academy. And she moved to a Scandinavian artist colony in the little village of Grätz outside of Paris, where she met fellow artist Carl Larsson, who became her husband in 1883. And they had 8 children, and she died, sadly died of cardiac arrest with a peptic ulcer in 1928 at the age of 68. And over here on her Wikipedia page, there's her portrait again, and there's some images, her still life that she painted, a rocking chair that she designed. That looks comfy, but it looks like it'd be hard to get out of once you got into it and we're rocking away.
Yeah. It's only for young people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then here's some designs that she had made. So that's wow. Alfred Bernhard Nobel, the father of the Nobel Prize, because he donated money at the end of his life to set up the Nobel Prize. Do you know what his most famous invention is? He has many inventions and many patents in his name, but there's one that had made him a lot of money, and has been used the world over.
I should know something about the radio, maybe.
He might have a radio patent.
No, not sure. Gunpowder, says Murray's
right on. Yeah, his most famous, one of his most famous, is actually dynamite. So
dynamite.
Dynamite.
That was my second guess.
Was it? Good. No. Good for you.
No.
It was. I'm thinking someone who the Nobel Peace Prize is named after is not someone I would associate with dynamite.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think one of the reasons why he went into philanthropy is to sort of combat the fact that, one of his biggest inventions could be used for such destructive purposes. So yeah, he was 355 different patents. That's a lot. He's got a huge brain, right? Another engineer, great thinker, a scientist. But he was a chemist, engineer, businessman, and a philanthropist. He bequeathed his fortune to a fund which did become the Nobel Prize institution. He was born in 1833, son of Emanuel Nobel and Carolina Alscha. Lived with his parents and siblings. He had a keen interest in engineering, particularly explosives. Like a lot of young guys, blowing things up is exciting. And he learned that from his father at a young age. And on his father's side, there was a Swedish scientist, Olaus Rudbeck. So it's also obviously in his genes. Paid dividends. He began to invent marketable products such as plywood. That's interesting. That's another one of his inventions. He was able to study abroad. The Nobel explosive plant was a massive dynamite manufacturing plant, and he wrote. And interesting, it was established in a place that was far away. So that's smart, If you're going to put together a dynamite plant, make it far away from civilization.
Yeah, good planning.
Yeah. It was a remote location, had its own railway station. So people went back and forth to the plant by railway, but it wasn't a regular passenger stop, which is good. You wouldn't want a whole load of, tourists going by if something bad were to happen. So that was good. But here at the end, he did not want to be remembered as a death dealer who profited from the sale of explosives. And so in his will, he set aside considerable fortune for awarding of prizes. And he set out the category for those prizes: the fields of physical science, chemistry, medical science, literary works, which is interesting, because that seems sort of different from the other three categories. But we know that there's a Nobel Prize for literature, so that was in his mind originally. And then the Peace Prize was categorized because he wanted a prize for the person or society that renders the greatest service to the cause of international fraternity in the suppression or reduction of standing armies, or in the establishment or furtherance of peace congresses. So that sort of is a big way of saying, like, the Peace Prize, basically. You know, that's what it sums up. So good for him. And there's a very impressive looking grave site there. It's the obelisk there.
That's in Italy? Where was he buried? Because he died in Italy.
He died in Italy, eh?
No, there he says. It's in Stockholm.
Stockholm. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, buried at Norra Begravningsplatsen in Stockholm. Okay. There we go. Then we have Stellan Skarsgård, born in the 1950s, still alive. One of his roles, he was in the movie Mamma Mia. So he sang some ABBA songs. So there's a tie over. I can't remember which song he was singing, but someone, I'm sure there's an ABBA Mamma Mia fan here who can let us know which songs he was singing, which ABBA songs he sang during that movie. In that movie, he didn't have the best voice, but he tried, so I'll give him a pass for that. He's a Swedish actor, and as he is a living living person, his profile is fairly short right now. Good Will Hunting, I didn't remember that he was in that movie. He was in Pirates of the Caribbean. Yes, he was it Barnacle Bill? He was sort of the on the ship, the Flying Dutchman. I think he was sort of the.
I'm not an expert.
I think Barnacle Bill or something like that. Anyways, there was some CGI involved in his character, if I recall correctly. And his son, Alexander Skarsgård, is in a series that I'm watching now, Murderbot, which is on Apple TV, which is really funny.
Isn't that the one I mentioned? No.
Did you mention Murderbot?
I'm not sure.
No, this one's a comedy.
You would have recognized.
This is a sci-fi comedy, like takes place in the far distant future.
Okay.
Based on some books, actually, by someone whose name is just escaping me. But anyways, I don't know if I don't think he had a solo. And Fiordalisi said that maybe he didn't sing in Mamma Mia.
I think he sang "Take a Chance on Me" because.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes, yeah. I don't think he had a solo, but I definitely think he had it was like a duet, or maybe all three of the men were singing together at one point. But anyways, he sang a few songs or co-sang along with some.
Yeah.
Take a Chance on Me. That sounds right. Yes. Anyways, great actor. I like his stuff. Anne Margaret Olsen Smith, known professionally just as Anne Margaret, Swedish-American actress, singer whose career spanned more than 7 decades. She first gained fame in 1961 as a singer with a distinctive contralto voice, and then became a Hollywood star. Carl Gustav Bernhard Olsen and Anna Regina Aronson, born it says here she was born in April 1941. Wait a second here. 40s. Why did I say? Did I say 50s? Maybe. Born in the 40s. Okay. Immigrated to the States in 1946, so she was only 5 years old, and became a naturalized American citizen in 1949. So with passion for dance and music at a young age, and performing with a group with the Subtle Tones in Vegas. Became a recognizable star in the 60s. She co-starred with Elvis Presley in Viva Las Vegas.
Mm.
and later married an actor, Roger Laverne Smith. Some of the other shows she was in: Pocket Full of Miracles, Bye Bye Birdie. That was a musical that she was in. I have watched that one. Carnal Knowledge, Tommy. That's interesting. The rock opera. I didn't remember she was in Grumpy Old Men, which is a comedy from the 90s, 93. She was even still making movies in 2017. Lots of awards: 5 Golden Globes, an Emmy Award, 2 Academy Awards, and 2 Grammys. Yeah. And even in 2023, she released Born to Be Wild. So that's neat. But I knew that she really made it big when you knew that there was a Flintstone character named after her. You know, the cartoon, the Flintstones?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Los Picapiedras.
Oh, what was it called?
Los Picapiedras.
That's funny. Well, there was one episode when I don't know if they were going to a concert or whatever, but the main singer was Anne Margrock. Margaret Anne Margrock. Yeah, so
right.
That was her Flintstones character.
Uh-huh.
And anyways, the last one, Raoul Gustav Wallenberg. He was designated righteous among the nations for helping thousands of Jews. So he was born in Sweden in 1912. His parents were, who had just got married in 1911. And then his father, did his father pass away young? Yeah, his father passed away actually before he was born in 1912. And so his stepfather was Frederick von Dartel, who married his mother, who was a widow, in 1918. He did compulsory military service after high school, went to the U.S., was inspired by the 1941 film, The Scarlet Pimpernel, to help people escape from the Nazis. So he went back to Europe. He was stationed in Hungary. He was the first secretary to the Swedish diplomatic mission. So he worked in the diplomatics area, Corps, purchased buildings in Budapest and declared them Swedish diplomatic property. So technically they belonged to Sweden and not to Hungary at that point. And then used that as a way of harboring Jews who are fleeing. Issued passports to Hungarian Jews so they could get out of the country safely, and even handed them out while they were being arrested or in the middle of death marches. Like, that's pretty brave. Unfortunately, his diplomatic immunity only sheltered him so far, and he was arrested by the Soviet government, not the Nazi government. And the Soviet government arrested him, and then because they thought he was spying for the Americans. So he did all this great stuff, helping many Jews escape, so saved many lives, and then himself was arrested for the presumption that he was spying on the Soviets, who would help free all the, took part in helping free Germany, which is very sad. May have been killed in 1947. And then there's some interesting notes here about his death and varying questions about that and possible scenarios of when and exactly where he died. But and some research notes added there as well. But for all the work that he did in helping Jews escape, he was named, given the honor, righteous among the nations, which is a very high honor given to people to help. So very impressive Swedish person.
Exactly.
So there are your profiles of the week.
Wow.
Yeah. So what's coming up this week? We have, thanks to Lisa and Azure who keep this updated, here are the week of Sunday, June 8th. Wow, that's good. Yeah. Our WikiTree challenge kicks off this Thursday. We're looking at this month, we're trying to improve the CC7 for Diane Southard, very famous genealogist, wonderful person who I've met in real life. And and I get to be the captain of the team for this WikiTree challenge. So I'm excited about that. So that kicks off Thursday at noon Eastern time. So please join us there. And there's still time to sign up if you haven't already signed up, but we have a good number of people signed up to help with that challenge. So please do so. And there's the G2G post if you want to click on that. There will be a question of the week released on Monday. The one name study this week is Dispenza. That looks like an Italian last name.
Yes.
That's very cool. Connection checkers will be announced. I don't know. Do you know what the theme is coming up this week?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll find out. We'll be surprised then. Hudson Fall, New York is the one place study. And the Cemeterist project will be featured on Thursday. There'll be a live new members Q&A Zoom on Thursday with Betsy and Murray and Steve and who's the other? Is that Hillary? I think that's Hillary.
Yes, it's Hillary.
There we go. Oh, look up there. The pop-up tells me it's definitely her. Okay, and so that'll take place because it's the second Thursday. Is it the second Thursday? Okay, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Hollywood Walk of Fame character on Friday, we are highlighting as Chaplin, Charlie Chaplin. And we'll be back next Saturday. We're celebrating music for our 12 photos, the June ancestors, the June profile makeover. And Chris will keep us informed about Into the Blogosphere. There we go.
And we have to mention this, that ancestors. We're being rocked. Yes,
we are being rocked.
Yay! Yes, thank you so much for that.
That is kind of fun, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, and there was also Tamara, I guess.
Okay, Patty Waldron is also being rocked.
Yes, and he nominated us.
That was very good of him. I'm actually working on some of his stuff, but don't tell him.
Yes, and there was someone else that's being rocked that was in the chat. I don't remember her name. Tamara or some.
Tamara.
Oh, sorry.
Sims.
Yeah.
Sims, maybe.
Yes.
I haven't actually looked at the G2G post. I should look at the G2G post because I didn't want it to spoil anything. But
I have been peeking.
You've been peeking?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I've been taking some looks.
Yes. Well, I
don't want to spoil anything, but
yeah, I have noticed my CC7 score is going up, so I know something's happening.
Mine is really hard to.
Oh yeah.
To improve, but there are some discoveries.
Thank you,
far
Kathy.
away from the 7th grade. I mean.
Okay, there's the other two. Tamara Sims. I was right. Tamara, it was Sims. And Steve Greenwood, of course. How could I forget? Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And I want to share a last thing.
Sure, go right ahead.
Yes,
please do.
Now we're used to having 1.5 LiveCasts. 1.5 hour. I mean, look at this. The connection between Ingrid and Ingmar Bergman.
Oh wow!
18 degrees.
Wow.
Imagine. I am 19 degrees away from Ingmar, so they are not close at all, and they have no common ancestor.
Wow.
I mean, well, they're connected, but
yeah,
if you this is the shortest path between them.
That's interesting.
And and this is the TV show I mentioned. It's called The Breakthrough.
Oh.
And if you ever, as a genealogist, have felt alone, underappreciated, and ignored, you have to watch this. You'll completely understand what it feels like, and this really shows what we can do, because it's the genealogist who solves the double murder after 16 years. So this is on Netflix, and it's a mini series, and it has just 4 episodes. It's really fun. Yeah, that's doable. That's the tip of the week.
Nice. And our friend Judy mentioned that the Alabama Challenge is on next Saturday on Zoom.
Oh,
so I mean, we'll probably mention it this time next week, but then that'll only give you half an hour to get ready for it. So now we're giving you a whole week to prep to put that on your calendar.
Yeah.
Thanks, Judy, for mentioning that. Oh, and there's the Australia project. There's a clean up Australian suggestions this month. Thanks.
Oh, great. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you, Amanda.
And Murray has obviously watched the movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a mini series. Remember,
it's a mini series.
4 episodes, just 40
movie
minutes.
Yeah. Neat.
No, I think he means the breakthrough.
Oh, the breakthrough. Okay.
Yeah. And we have Amanda is now playing the profile makeover, so I'm going to show her makeover when she's ready.
Oh, nice. Good stuff.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and hope you have a great day and a great week. And we will see you back here next Saturday.
Next week.
Next
week.
Week.
Let's go listen to ABBA.
Let's go listen to ABBA. Ciao.
Bye. See you.
Bye-bye.